Hello everybody and welcome back to the Fortress of Solitude. Today we're going to be checking out The Ultimates issue 2 by Dennis Camp and Juan Frigeri. The Ultimates take their fight to the White House this issue as the team storm one of the most heavily guarded buildings in the world so they can have a quick word with the president and free America. Before all of this happened though, Steve asked Tony to rig up a hologram room for him to catch up on the 75 years he missed while he was in the ice, and in turn gives us a great look on how the Maker influenced and changed Earth 6160. This is a lead into Cap's arc for the issue and probably his overall arc in the book, which is what is Captain America when America doesn't really exist anymore, and this is all part of Steve trying to find his identity in the world. That's a great direction for the character and it helps give him something to work on beyond stopping a bad guy he really has no idea about from appearing in 16 months when the time dilation stops in Latveria. The team blast their way into the White House and meet the president, who is an old Marvel Boy villain called Midas, or Dr. Midas as he's more widely known. This was kind of a neat twist since I expected someone familiar, but Midas is one who I don't think anyone really would have considered and is quite an obscure pull. Because of that though, I like it, and Dennis gets to write the character with a wonderful smugness and arrogance. And because it's such an obscure character like Midas, there's probably a bit of creative freedom with the character as well. We can take him into some interesting places, and Dennis does. Midas also wears an old Iron Man armor that he took from one of Stark Stain's assets in the wake of his death, and Midas uses this suit to kind of gloat a little over Tony, knowing that it would throw him off his game, and it does, with Cap being the only one to stop Tony from attacking the villain outright. Camp gets a little creative here as the rest of the issue is a battle of wits between Cap and Midas as he wishes to try and make a deal with Steve, since that's what America is all about, is business deals and capitalism and consumerism, and everyone has a price. But Cap is only interested in saving America, despite it not really existing anymore in a physical sense. And Midas wants to know what really makes America, seeing things like capitalism, commerce, consumerism being the main pillars of America and something that the country is built on, whereas Cap doesn't particularly believe that at all. Cap's, the old-fashioned, bootstraps guy, and thinks America is more than just rampant spending and capitalism. Steve soon tires of the villain's constant boasting and wants what he is keeping secret in the basement, and that's when Midas decides he's going to fight back since the heroes are there to obviously mean business, and he doesn't like that at all, not wanting to give up what he has stashed downstairs, since apparently it makes him quite powerful as he is able to shoot energy beams from his hands. Cap's journey through time also continues throughout the pages, interspersed with the present day stuff, and we get to see some really neat things from across Earth 6160's history, like a 1970s era Punisher in New York who isn't Frank Castle, but surprisingly Shang-Chi, and the Savage Lands are being polluted by Roxxon, which is a really interesting one because recently in the Ultimate Black Panther book, we've just had a device or a object found by T'Challa and the others that the Moon Knights want that can seemingly regrow things when it touches them. So I wonder if that might be connected to whatever's happening into the Savage Lands, and maybe that might be a way for Wakanda to help regrow part of the world. It's very interesting to see what they're doing with this and sort of planting little seeds here and there of what's going on in this universe. In the present, Captain America keeps Midas busy as Iron Lad blasts his way into the basement with his arc reactor, and in the basement they find a woman who is hooked up to a machine that siphons off her cosmic radiation that she emits naturally and that Midas is using to power his suit. Midas reveals that the woman is from the future, but he really doesn't care about any of that since he wants to use her for profit, finding that things like the costume she's clad in is used to revolutionize clothing and military garb. Her powers are used to power all sorts of things. It's basically cutting this woman up and sort of divvying her out for profit, which is the sole thing that Midas is all about. As he says, everything he touched turns to gold and turns to a profit, and that's what he believes Captain America doesn't get about America, that's what America is. And I love that Cap is basically fighting a physical embodiment of capitalism and consumerism. I think that's really quite a cool way to take this Captain America. It's so much better than, the original Ultimate Captain America, where he was very clearly a more right-leaning Captain America, the old, this this A on my head doesn't stand for France. That sort of edgy Mark Miller stuff, it doesn't have any of that sort of stuff. It's more grounded and realistic in this sense. There's also something really refreshing about this Ultimates team gathering to just fight what is essentially a billionaire or a money-hungry billionaire. They're not fighting like a big world-ending threat, at least not yet. And for one of their first villains to be this, billionaire is really quite cool, and kind of signals that this is definitely a different Ultimates universe than what we're used to. Midas reveals to the team that everything this woman has, from her clothing, her blood, her powers, and everything, has all revolutionized the world in some way, and he's doing things like selling off medical advances that this woman helps provide them with for huge gain. And this is quite topical, being that America, especially compared to the rest of the world, has insane medical expenses. You get into an accident in America and you've got no insurance, or even if you do have insurance, the excesses are just insane. And that's what this book is talking about. He's selling something that could have probably been given away for free, or at least on a heavily marked down price, for a fortune, and people will pay it because they have to pay it. This is a much more interesting direction for the Ultimate Universe compared to the original, which was edgy for the sake of being edgy. Despite all of Midas's grandstanding and attacks, the injured Cap is still intent on freeing America, and while Midas is distracted, Wasp manages to free the woman from the device siphoning her powers, shutting off Midas's energy source and armor, which allows Steve to smash him in the back of the neck with the shield, paralyzing the villain, which is definitely something you never really see Captain America do, but I like that they went there with this, and Cap has actually crippled one of his first villains, which is very interesting. As the book winds down, we get a really brilliant twist here, as Cap throughout the book has been intent on saving America. That's all he's really been saying to Midas. He's there to save America. And this is my takeaway from it, in that he saw all those holograms of the 75 years, and it's made him realize that the America he thought is long gone. And he came to the White House to save America, but not the America he knows. He came to save America Chavez, who is revealed to be the woman Midas has captured. This is an absolutely brilliant twist, and I always assumed the woman was going to be someone like Captain Marvel or even an X-Man like Jean Grey. I initially thought it was Captain Marvel, being that we have been hinted that she is going to be in the book in some capacity very soon. So I thought this was how they were working her in, but never did I assume it was going to be America Chavez. This is a great addition to this new Ultimates team, and a big up on battling Maker, since America is from the future, or at least that's what Midas says. Maybe they've changed her origin here in this universe, but usually she is from the future, so she could provide some valuable information to the team on their preparation against the Maker. And it's probably why Cap was so intent on getting her, because in a way she is actually going to help free America. America Chavez will help free the United States of America from the Maker's grasp. It's a damn cool twist to the book. I love how it was framed with Cap intent on saving America, and you never really get the idea that it's America Chavez until the final pages. It's very well handled. I'm very much looking forward to seeing how Dennis carries on from this in the next issue. The Ultimates issue 2 was another fantastic issue from Dennis Camp and Juan Frigeri. A lot about the universe was explored this issue through the eyes of Captain America, as he and us are caught up on what's been going on in Earth 6160's history, and it's pretty messed up, and I love the way that Dennis showcased all of that, hinted at some things that might come in future issues or future books, considering that the Ultimates line is just ever growing. I and many others would like to see stuff like that 1970s New York set Punisher, Shang-Chi stuff happen. That would actually be really damn awesome and so different than what we usually see. And I just love that the villains of this book so far have just been on the lower scale of side. They're not big world-ending threats. They're billionaires or bullies who have taken over small parts of the world. I like that there is a scale to this. They're not just going straight into fighting the Chitauri or some big threat like Thanos. They're working their way up, and I think that's a bit more of a realistic goal for the Ultimates. I'm very excited for the next issue and what Dennis and his team will bring with them in that issue. I'm going to give this issue a 10 out of 10.